Each year, Microsoft Research hosts hundreds of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
Okay, let's start. I'm in the light. I'm Sue Duraken, as you probably know by now, and I've really enjoyed watching your presentations over the course of this week. I've learnt a lot. I'm not sure how long I'll remember it for, but I've learnt a lot about many different subjects. And I tell you, I had a big headache when I went home Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now, why is it important for you to learn how to give a good poster presentation? Let me show you some quotes to start with. The first one says, as a graduate student preparing for a career in research, you have two jobs. The first one, do some good research. Secondly, build a community around your research topic. So that's really a longer-term perspective on why it's important to take part in poster presentations. The second one is from Simon Peyton-Jones, and you probably remember him saying this earlier this week. He said, a research talk gives you access to the world's most priceless commodity, the time and attention of people. And I would say, ditto a poster presentation. You have the opportunity to make the most of the time and attention of the people who are there in that room with you. On to a little bit of learning theory. Has anyone come across this? Kolb's learning cycle? It's a way of thinking about how you learn a new skill. And presenting a poster, designing a poster, is a new skill. At the top of the cycle there, you have the concrete experience, just doing it. And that's really what you've been doing this week. The second part of the cycle is having a chance to think about what you did, to think about what went well and what didn't go so well. And then, based on your reflections, to draw some conclusions about what can you learn from that, what principles can you devise and can you follow in the future. And then the next step is to plan how you're going to change things the next time round. So you've done the first bit, you've had a go. What I'd like you to do now, in groups of about 5, is just to have a think about what you learned. And then we'll see if we can gather some of the key things that you've learned over the course of this week. So could you take about 5 minutes in groups of about 5, maybe just turn round rather than trying to do it in a long row, and share what you've learned from doing those poster presentations, both about the poster itself and about the way to present it. Okay? And then we'll gather some ideas from you. Okay? Okay, can we have, from the back, from one of the groups at the back there, can we have one thing that stood out for you as being something that you've learned? Yes, Toby. Is it Toby?
What we learn from the poster presentation is like, no matter what your content is, at least it should be understandable by all the crowd, whether it's from the computer or psychology or biology or anybody. So you should have to deliver your key idea and what you want to do at last. So at least a vague idea that what you are interested in, on what it's going to be at the last, or the key result.
Okay, so given that you've got a fairly generalist audience, you need to have a message that will make sense to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Right, Toby?
So, key thing is it should draw people in. It should catch their eye from a distance and make them want to come and look at it and then to talk to you.
Yes, and do you mean the poster?
The poster itself should be sort of visually appealing.
Okay, so an eye-catching poster.
Eye-catching, whilst obviously not actually completely around.
Yes. Right, okay, we'll come back to that later on, what actually makes an eye-catching poster. Something from over here. Oscar?
For example, poster for me was always a really weird thing, like, why would I make a poster when I can publish a paper?
Yeah.
A poster is more about vision, I realize, more about what's in the future, presenting it to people and making them enthusiastic. Paper is a report.
Yes. Yeah.
More of a reason.
Okay, so it's the big idea on your poster, which has got to be appealing and really get people enthused by what it contains.
Yeah, there is also sunshine.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Someone over here. What did you learn?
I think one of the things that's interesting about posters is it's a good opportunity to get people to get excited about your work, which otherwise you may not have an audience that's so mixed. And so coming from a non-technical background, it was interesting to see how some of them could present a very technical research in lay terms. So I'd always go up to some of them and ask them, explain it in terms that I would understand. Some of them did that really well. So I think it's interesting because otherwise we wouldn't hear about such research. I wouldn't read papers on it.
Yes.
But it's a good way to get people to hear about your research who are not really in the field.
Yes.
So I think it's a great opportunity that way to get to engage with people.
Yes. So again, looking at a very generalist setting, it takes real skill, doesn't it, to present your very specialist research in a way that will make other people think this is interesting, and not just that, but this makes a bit of sense to me. Yes,
I have a
Oliver.
question regarding this. I mean, so you have a mixed audience. You mentioned like 50% or 20% is like the expert audience, and the others are not. And of course, it's really nice if you target those 80%. But isn't it sometimes more important to target those 20%? Because those are the people you may work together with in the future.
Yes, yes. You have to be flexible, don't you, in the way that you present your poster. There's nothing much you can do about the poster itself. That stays the same, but the way that you present it is going to be different depending on who you're speaking to. And I think you all learnt that this week, didn't you, that the need to be really flexible depending on who it is that comes up to you, to be able to think on your feet and adapt the message depending on the level of understanding people have. Yes?
I just had a comment on that. Probably those 80% could be also a very valuable audience because it broadens your mind and mind of other people, and probably if you can never expect where you could find the application or where you could find something you could apply. So that's also very important to adjust the examples and everything you can illustrate your approach to attract other people. And have comments on them, and also ask other people. It's not only about your work, it's also about the posters of other people. If you can ask very interesting questions to try to find connections with your research, that's also very valuable.
Yeah, so even in a generalist setting, there may be useful links between different specialist areas that you only find out by talking about them with individuals in the right kind of way. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Does anyone want to add anything? Yes.
I could relate a lot with Simon Jones' presentation. Simon Jones' talk about how to write a great research paper. Was that how you would explain it to someone who comes in your room and explain it on the board?
Yes.
With examples, sort of. So I would say keeping that running flow makes a lot of sense. And so we discuss amongst ourselves that 1/3 of the paper should be targeted for just the introduction of the problem, why it is hard, why it is important.
Yes.
And I totally second Natalia's thought about getting a generalist view about your problem, because there are some conferences in computer science like AAAI conference, which is on a very broad level like AI, but that's how it is useful because you get views from many different disciplines within AI.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
And I think, can I just add, Simon PJ's talks are really relevant here, and he emphasized that there should be the one idea you convey. And if you remember Jack Lund yesterday, he tried very hard to convey this one idea to you. Remember what it was? Global. So they had to actually, Jack made them repeat this one thing, because there was the one thing he wanted the audience to take away. And I think that's it. You plant this one thought into someone's head.
Okay. Right, let's move on. What I'd like to do is try to pull things together to draw some conclusions for you so that you can take away some clear messages on how to do a poster presentation better or differently in the future, or perhaps it will also reinforce for you that you did things really well. And I will say that I thought that the standard of giving presentations this year was incredibly high, actually. The first thing is to approach it with the right mindset. Now, on the left of the slide here, you've got a very negative mindset. So I don't know if any of you went through this sort of thought process on the left here. What if no one's interested? Anyone think that? No one admitting it. Or, 90 minutes stuck in this corner. What a nightmare. And I know some of you had really difficult corners to be stuck in. It wasn't 90 minutes, 2 hours, wasn't it? Stuck there for 2 hours. Or the last one, if I'm lucky, they'll just read the poster and leave me alone. Anyone admit to thinking that? On the right-hand side, you've got the alternative. And sometimes you do have to talk yourself into the right mindset. You have to manage your inner dialogue to help you to deal with this sort of challenge, especially if it's the first time for you, in a positive way. So the first one here, I've really got to make the most of this opportunity. It gives you positive energy, a determination to do the very best that you can, and to build your professional network, and to be remembered both for the quality of your poster and for your discussion with individuals around that. The second one recognises that emotions are infectious, and if you're excited about it, you may well affect other people too. So it's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it and how you look when you're saying it. And the third one, I wonder what they'll find most interesting about my research. It gives you an open-minded approach to what's going to happen. Encourages you to be flexible in your approach to individuals and to learn from their comments. So that's step one. Talk to yourself and talk yourself into the right mindset for handling this challenge. The next one is how you start off. Are we missing a picture? No. Oh, we're missing the text. There we go. I'm not going to do this because Simon PJ said not to. There we go. I'll put them all up for you. So the first one is to manage your space. Before you start off, work out where you're going to stand and how you're going to stand. And for some of you, that's easier than others. It depends very much on what site you get in the room. What were you thinking about when you actually started off in terms of where you stand and how you stand? Did you make any conscious decisions about it? Yes, Robert?
Don't stand directly in front of the poster.
Yes. Okay, yeah, don't block the poster. Yes. Oscar?
So visibility statistics across the whole room.
I'm sorry, say that again?
So basically stand where you want to let the least amount of space. That's extended very important.
Okay, yeah. So, and make sure that you're facing out, away from your poster, so that you can make eye contact with the other people who are the passing traffic. Also think about your neighbours. That was quite a challenge, wasn't it, when you were all crowded in one corner or along one side, to make space for each other, to find the best space for each other. But yeah, don't think selfishly. Think also about how you can negotiate the space with other people so that it works as well as it can for all of you. The second one, positive body language. When you're standing there waiting for someone to come up to you, how do you want to look? Prepared, welcoming, yes. Okay, so that means making eye contact with people, so inviting them to come just with your body language. It means a smile on your face, a bit of enthusiasm. It means looking as though you're there to stay. So there was somebody, I said, take off your rucksack and put it down, because you're standing there with a rucksack on your back. It looks as though you're about to leave, you want to go on. So make it look as if you're a permanent fixture there and you're waiting for people to come to you. So, and a confident posture. So stand upright, don't slouch, have your head up and look out so that you can have really good eye contact with the people passing. Next thing, careful timing. Someone approaches your poster, what do you do?
Offer a drink.
Sorry?
Offer a drink.
Offer a drink?
I think giving a while just to go over the poster, maybe start with a question. Would
Yeah.
you like me to drag you through it?
Yes, yeah. So you have to be quite diplomatic here, don't you, and read that person's body language, because some people will like to read the poster first and then discuss it with you. Other people will like to go straight into a discussion with you, and usually it's the eye contact that will give that away. If they don't make eye contact with you, they go straight to the poster. Just give them a bit of time to read it. And then you might ask a polite question. Would you like some information? I heard somebody say. You can be more assertive than that. Maxim, you were very assertive. You sort of drew me towards the poster and you said, can I explain my poster to you? So yeah, that sort of enthusiasm can be great. If you're not getting the traffic, draw people in. So start with a question. Your question is designed to help you to find out how to pitch your discussion. Is this person a specialist in your field? Do they know something about a related field? Do they know nothing about it at all? So ask a sensitive, polite question to enable you to know how to pitch it. So Oscar, I think you asked me, do you know what rendering is? Good question. Okay. I had no idea at all. So you know how to start off. You know what level of ignorance you're dealing with. You don't want to make the person feel stupid, but you want to be so polite enough to show that you really want them to understand this. Any comments? Yes, Oliver.
Is it good to ask, what do you know about?
Yeah, yeah.
Because there you kind of, then they,
Yeah.
well, I know kind of something, but
Yeah,
or is
yeah.
it more like, do you know something
Yes.
about?
Do you know something about? That works a bit better, doesn't it? What do you know about sounds a bit like an exam question. So, yeah, do you know anything about? It's just a little bit more. It's easy for them to say no.
Another
Yeah.
way is more positive by saying, would you like me to explain this term? Because
Yes.
sometimes when you ask someone, have you heard about this? You don't know your audience. Some of them may just assume that you're talking about something else.
Yeah.
Or may not want to, say that they don't know.
Yes,
So
uh-huh.
I could explain.
That's another good question. Yeah, would you like
If
me?
you're interested, so that would be more positive.
Yes, that's great. And it's an offer rather than an instruction. Yeah. Okay, so that's an important thing right from the start to get it right. Oscar, sir? Yes? Yeah, Eleni.
I was wondering, how about as a listener, how much do you have to accommodate the person who's presenting? If you're mildly familiar with the subject, can you go and directly say what's going on in this panel?
Yeah.
Or do you have some sort of, would it be better to give them the chance to start from the beginning of how they want to present things or what? But
yeah.
still, while giving the information, they don't really leave those out of memory.
Yes. What do you think? What would your own idea be?
Well, I'm trying to decide what the etiquette would be, because as a listener, it might be more useful to me to actually find out immediately about my particular question.
Yes.
And maybe work my way back if I don't know something.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what a poster presenter is supposed to do. Is he
Yeah.
supposed to accommodate the person that is he supposed to, more accommodate the person that visits him, or is he supposed to be able to give a presentation the way he has it in his mind?
No, I'll move on to the next slide and maybe that'll make it more clear. It's supposed to be a satisfying conversation, not a lecture. It has to be two-way. So, yeah, the presenter of the poster needs to accommodate how much information he or she gives, depending on how much interest there is and how many questions there are. So I would say, yes, if you have someone that comes up to the poster and says, that's an interesting idea down there, then you go with that. You know, people have limited time. You had a 2-hour session here, but there were a lot of posters to get round. And it may be that it's challenging to get round all the ones you want to. And if every presenter insists on delivering their 2-minute, 3-minute, 5-minute monologue on the content of the poster, you'll never get round them all. So, yeah, I think you do have to really be courteous to the person who's arrived. Okay, so a satisfying conversation. Oh dear, let's put them all up. There we go. The first thing is to allow tune-in time. Sorry. But, yeah.
Can I ask, as a listener, is there a polite way for me when I'm getting the 20 minutes lecture in front of the poster, how to get out of it?
Yeah.
You really start interest during this thing, or it's taking too long?
Yeah.
Is it a polite way? To stay in person?
Well, I would say the body language is the first thing. So your eyes, they glaze over, don't they, when you've had enough. And if the presenter doesn't pick that up, then you can start to be a little bit more overt. So it might be that you start, not yet, and then you start to inch backwards. And you hope that without having to say something, they will get the message. And if not, then I think you just have to wait for a pause in the flow and say, thank you very much, that was very interesting. Any other ideas on that one? Oscar?
I think it never really hurts just to say, I'm sorry, but my opinion is different, or may I interrupt you at this point?
Yes.
Just be direct, but polite.
Yes, yes, yeah. Okay, so tune-in time. Tune-in time is really important when you're working in a multilingual environment. You have so many different accents and ways of speaking in this sort of setting. And it's really important when you're going from one person to the next, to the next, to the next, that you allow tune-in time, so that if you're the presenter, you're letting other people have an opportunity to get used to your accent and your style of speaking. So that means that at the very start, you just start with simple language. You don't go straight down to all the technicalities before they've had time to tune in. You just you do some introductions. I'm so-and-so, I'm from the University of so-and-so. My research is concerned with, and you point to the title, or you say something like, let me first give you some background. Let me put it in some context. So you're using signposting language to help that person focus on what's coming next. Slow down. Again, in a multilingual environment, you need to really slow down to ensure that people grasp what you're saying. Also, the fact that it's a very generalist setting makes a difference too, doesn't it? It takes people time to get used to a totally different subject matter. So slowing down gives people an opportunity to do that. Especially if you're a native English speaker, you really have to make an effort to slow down and articulate clearly.
And speak loud.
And speak loud, yes. Yes. Yeah, that's really the next point. To mention distance here. You've got a lot of surrounding noise in an environment like you had on the last 3 days. It's not a peaceful environment to have a one-to-one conversation at all. A lot of background noise is making it difficult. And when you are both speaking in a language which is not your mother tongue, that surrounding noise can cause a problem. So you may have to just get a bit closer to people. You have to respect people's personal space and the cultural differences in understanding of what's an acceptable distance to stand from another person. But you may need to just think about how close you are to the other person to make yourself clearly heard. Just going back to that slow down, pause as well. If this is a conversation, you need to give the other person an opportunity to come in, to agree with what you've said, to dispute what you've said, to ask a question about it, to add an idea. So it's not a lecture. Okay, you may just have to pause. You may have to ask a question. Is that okay so far? Or is there anything you'd like me to go into in more detail? Or any comments? Yes?
I mean, according to my experience, these things are usually not like a two-way conversation. So you do like having a conversation with 3, 4, 5 people at a time.
Yeah.
When you're really at a crowded poster session. So you give your 30-second spiel about your poster, and then you have to wait for questions.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you slow down a lot, you limit your throughput basically. So.
Yes, yeah. But there's no point in saying it all too fast to be understood. That's the only point, really.
Really slowing down and taking the time, then people will leave because there are like 50 to 100 talkers, and
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't mean, you know, but, you know, slow down enough just to be understood in a multilingual setting. Yeah. Okay, eye contact. This is really critical. I would aim for at least 50-50 eye contact with the poster and with the person you're speaking to. More, if you possibly can. Some conversations were going on where both people were really focused on the poster, or where the presenter was really focused on the poster, but not on the person they're speaking to. Again, thinking in an international, multilingual environment, you need very often to see someone's face, to see their lips moving, to be able to understand them better. So there needs to be a lot of eye contact between the presenter and the person who's come to the poster. And if there's a group of people around the poster, that's especially important. I noticed quite a few occasions where the presenter was looking at the poster, pointing things out on the poster, but really not having eye contact with any of the group around them, or limited eye contact. So where possible, stand by the side of the poster so that you can address the people around you, eye to eye. If you've got one person, that's okay. If someone else comes along, make sure that you make eye contact with them and include them in the discussion. Don't be exclusive. And use eye contact to pick up on when people are particularly interested or when they've lost interest. Your hands. Use your hands. Great picture of this lady here. I'm sorry, I don't know her name. Is she gone? What a shame. Yeah. But wasn't she great? I was watching her doing all this, up here and out here. And use your hands to reinforce and explain what you're saying. That's important in any setting. But again, when there's a language barrier, it's especially important. What you do with your hands really does help to explain your message. So you have to have your hands free. If you've got a bottle in your hand, a plate in your hand, it can be a problem. I don't know what you felt about food and drink. You obviously needed something to drink, at least, because it's very hot in there. But what do you feel about eating and drinking while you're presenting? Yeah?
I think it's not nice, but on the other hand, it's not a good idea to mix lunch with poster session.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I would say, based on what I think it was you said to me yesterday, that sometimes you want to go up to a poster when the presenter's not there, because you don't want to be interrupted. You just want to have a read through the poster. Based on that, I would say then don't worry about abandoning your poster for 5-10 minutes. Go and get something to eat, and then come back. Because people might descend on your poster once you've gone. And then come back to you later, once they've had a chance to read it. But yeah, better not to be eating or drinking while you're presenting. A bottle in the hand is probably the most that you should have, because at least you can still gesture with that. But Natalia, with you, had a good idea. You had a notepad with you, didn't you? Now that sends a very positive message. If you have a notebook or something to record ideas, comments, questions, concerns, contact details, you're giving the message with this notepad that you're receptive to what's coming, to what people say. So, good idea to have something, even if you don't hold on to it. Just a few more elements of a satisfying conversation. We've talked about flexibility, but you start off by giving the big picture, the context in which your research is taking place. And that, I think we've said that already, that's essential, no matter who it is, whether it's someone who knows nothing about your subject or someone that's an expert. Start off with the big picture before you go into the detail. Then your objective. So you're still speaking at a very broad level. What we're trying to prove, what we'd like to do, what we're aiming to achieve is, in one sentence if you possibly can. Use signposting language to help the other person to understand where you're going in your presentation. So things like Our work so far has focused on, that's the signpost, tells you what's coming next. What's really unique about what we've achieved is, that's the signpost. Something which has really surprised us is signpost. Okay? So before you get into the technical detail, you give the signpost. Oh, watch out for jargon and abbreviations. It may be very familiar to you in your research environment, in your team. It may mean nothing to other people that come to your poster. And a couple of people had abbreviations in their poster, sometimes even in the title, where they admitted that the abbreviation was actually really only known within their team. So if you have abbreviations on there, make sure that you think about which ones really need explanation. You know, some will be obvious to everyone. Some will not. And if you have them on your poster, make sure that you also have the full term if you think that that won't be familiar to people. Yeah, a few.
What happens when the full term is perhaps more confusing? So,
yeah.
for instance, application-specific integrated circuit, it really is just a container for an idea.
Yes.
But by putting the full term, it's even more, I'm giving way more detail than I actually give to the audience member.
Yeah.
All I want to say is there is a thing and it's used for this, but
yeah.
The idea is not important. The problem that comes from the
yeah.
specific term is more important.
Then that's what you can say when you're presenting the poster. Yeah. Scarlett, any thoughts on that one? Yeah. Okay. Oh, examples. Yeah, have some examples ready prepared, because examples provide a bridge between the theory and the reality for people. And some of you use some really good examples. Make them as concrete as you possibly can. I noticed, there's Ahmad. Where's Ahmad? Yeah. You talked about, I mean, I didn't really understand your poster, but when you started off, you talked about, if you use Skype, for example, you may have noticed that. And I'm immediately into an area that I understand. Or paint mental pictures for people. So I think it was, is it Chandrika? No, yeah? You talked about the family in a car, the mother's driving, there's noisy children in the back, mother's trying to arrange a play date. I'm there, you know, I understand that entirely. Or comparisons. So I think it was it Beata? Yeah, you talked about your proposal. You said it's like a CAT scan. I've got the idea. I know what a CAT scan is. Okay, so immediately I can latch onto something familiar. Listen and look. So pick up on the signals that you're getting from the other person. I got the impression this week that a lot of you really learnt a lot from listening to the people that came to your poster, people that challenged you, people that asked you really tough questions. So you can really make the most of this as an opportunity to get back, not just to give. And look, pick up on their body language that tells you when you need to slow down, speed up, stop completely. Be ready for questions and comments. Answer them as clearly as you can. If you don't know the answer, just be honest. You can offer to find out and get back to them. That's a good opportunity to follow up that interaction that started. Keep managing your space. You know, keep an awareness of how much you're able to engage with the people who are passing and the people who have stopped. Move around. Don't just get stuck in one position. Keep an awareness of the people who are at the posters alongside you, so that you are always sort of renegotiating the space to help one another. And really keep thinking, am I standing in the best place here if there's a group of people around me? And I picked those two examples because they were both very good examples of where somebody had chosen to stand so that they can really make eye contact with 3 or 4 people who are standing around them.
but of course sometimes the poster presenter gets kind of engaged in a discussion and it takes a long time and it is indeed very interesting. But I guess it's a reasonable time limit that you should have, because you have to open up again for
other people.
The rest of the audience. So
Yes. Yeah.
covered that already?
We haven't really, no. I would say there may be an opportunity to continue that discussion later. That might be appropriate to say. I don't want to hold you back. You could put it in those terms. I know there are a lot of other posters that you probably want to see. So perhaps we could pause now and get back together later.
Or perhaps engage the new people who come along into the current discussion.
Yes, that's another way to do it. Yes, yeah.
It's just one observation I made, because sometimes it's really interesting and you want to get the feedback, but then you may miss out on some
other people.
feedback.
Yes, when you've got limited time. Yes. Yeah.
So, if you're presenting a poster, how do you get rid of people who are engaging and unnecessary?
How do you get rid of people?
Yeah, like they just keep on asking some irrelevant stuff and we just want them to make space for others.
Okay, so did you hear that question? What do you do if people are, they're useless really? They're just asking you irrelevant questions. What do you do?
Ask them irrelevant questions.
The question is obviously relevant to them, and perhaps that's because they're from a completely different specialist field and you don't really see the relevance, but they've picked up on some link. So I don't think you can be rude to them. You have to try and answer as best you can. But if you feel that it's actually reducing the opportunity for other people to come and have a useful discussion, then you may do a similar thing to what we just said there. So this is very interesting. Perhaps we can talk later on. Yeah, Krista.
You just shouldn't get rid of people because you're advancing your own research is not your only goal. It's also about educating the people. If someone which is not really into your field learns something new, it's also benefit.
Yeah.
You should also take care of that.
Yes, okay. Yeah, at the back.
Some related question, how do you engage people joining, coming up to your poster while you're in the middle of the conversation with them?
Yeah. What did you do? How do you engage people? Well, they come along and you're in the middle of explaining it to somebody else. What do you do?
I think perhaps you can repeat an argument, and just for the sake of to just make this link to the new person joining in, and try then to follow up and hope they can engage and follow.
So you repeat the key information and then you carry on. So you're polite and respectful to them, you don't ignore them. Yes, Ahmad.
Just one comment about the arrangement of the posters. I would really love to have them a little more separated, like half a meter between one and the other. We have a space in the room. Actually, it was in one of the corners. If a crowd is looking at the one next to me, I'm just waiting for them to go. To allow people to look at my poster. You can just, use the sides. Just get 50 centimeters, whatever, half a meter between one and the other. It would be more relaxing.
Actually, this is an interesting point, because every year we try something different. Every year there are some posters who are not in an ideal position, and I have thought about this. I think the ideal solution is to have all posters in a circle and get people in from in the middle, underneath, or that's totally really perfect solution. But we had last year we had a different setup. That wasn't perfect. I think this year. On the last 2 days, when posters were moved into this kind of front tent as well, I think that really was a good decision to do.
That created more space.
But it's a very difficult problem. So we take suggestions welcome, but I think it's pretty hard to get it right.
But I'm just saying, get used to it. At a conference, it's not better. So.
Yes, that's right. Yes. Yes.
You're always. People even pay for good. As a sponsor, for example, Microsoft Research, we sponsor conferences and we get good poster positions. It's a well-known problem and issue.
Yes. Okay, but I would say that if you are stuck in a corner and you feel that you're rather invisible to the passing traffic, then it makes it more important that you actually make yourself as visible as you can. So you've got to really look as though you want people. And, you know, what Maxim did, you were stuck in a corner, weren't you, Maxim? But you came out from the corner. You know, can I take you into my corner? Come and have a look. So, yeah, you know, do what you can to draw people in. Okay, 2 more things. It's got to be a poster that you feel is worth standing by. You have to prepare it with your public in mind. You have to adapt the content of the presentation depending on who your audience is going to be, whether it's generalist, related, or specialist. And sometimes you may just have to find an approach that's somewhere in the middle, which is going to somehow keep everyone happy. And I know that many of you did that somebody said to me, you had an algorithm on there, it was just one algorithm, but you would use that if somebody was really interested in that aspect of it, but it was only there as an option. For other people who were less specialist, you wouldn't go into that area. So it's got to somehow work for different people who come. Follow the instructions that you're given, and Microsoft gave you some very clear instructions on what to put on the poster and how to design it before you came. So make sure that whatever instructions you get, you do follow. Try and get the right balance of words and visuals. Now the guidance says that in terms of words, go for somewhere between 300 and 500 words. But actually if you go for 500 words, that's most of the poster is text. So I would say go for the lower limit, go for more like 300 words. Then you've got enough on there for it to have some meat, some substance, but it's still going to look accessible because the text is balanced with visuals. I asked for Anya's poster to be brought in because I think yours gives quite a good idea of the balance, the green one in the corner there, to have a good balance between text and visual. Use colour, but use it sparingly. And if you look at Mihai? Yeah, Mihai's poster is the blue one in the back there. You see he's based it on blue. He's got different shades of blue. He's even got a blue shirt on to coordinate with it today. And that's the kind of approach to go for. So it looks pleasing. It doesn't look like, whoa, a rainbow effect of colours. Think about how you write the text. One trend that I noticed this year was for bullet points and just note form text, so not using full sentences. Now that can be a problem when you've got a generalist readership or a non-native English speaking readership, because if you just use the key words, then what you lose is the thread of the argument. You lose those words like however, consequently, the next step is, as a result, and so on. All those tend to disappear. So it can be much harder to follow the flow when it's just note form. So be very careful if you're making that decision for the text. Think about the layout. So is the structure and the order clear from the way you've laid it out? And I think in many cases, yours were very, very well laid out. It was obvious where you should start and where you should go next. Think about your title. What kind of titles were eye-catching to you? What drew you to the poster? Short, yes. Yeah. So go for one line maximum if you possibly can. Or it may be that you go for a main heading which is fairly general, and then a subheading which is a little more specialist. And there was one good example of that. It was Sandro. Where's Sandro? Is he here? Yep. So yours was giving knowledge bases a voice. Oh, well, that's quite, to me, who knows nothing about it, that was quite an attractive and appealing heading. And then the subheading was towards natural language selection from structured knowledge. So that's getting more specialist. That's a good way to do it. Using verbs in your titles helps as well. So we had Guy Golan was enforcing atomicity for data structure manipulations. Quite short, on one line, but enforcing the verb that makes that heading quite dynamic. Or a question in your title. Sandeep, transactions are back, but how different are they? So really think about how you can use the title to catch people's eye and make them want to know more. Then the headings below that level. Make your headings really appeal to people as well. And it was Matthew, your headings that I really liked. You used headings like, oh yeah, network hardware isn't what it used to be. First heading. Second one, driver developers can't keep up. So it's, for a generalist audience, they're great headings, aren't they? They're easy to understand, and they draw you into the text below. Any other thoughts about titles and headings? Yeah?
Use a really big font.
A really big, yes, that's a good point.
The font is too small. Use
Yeah.
like a condensed font with really tall.
Yes, yeah. It's got to be visible from about 2 meters away, so people can see it and think, oh, not just that colour looks interesting, but, oh, that's an interesting title.
Yeah, I must say that personally, and perhaps it's not representative, but I do look at I like to see the affiliations as well, and
Yeah.
the authorship close to the top of the
Yes.
poster. I mean,
Yeah.
what institute, what university is that from?
Yeah.
I think that helps, because I mean there were a lot of posters where this is at the bottom,
Yeah.
which may be another approach, but it was just easier to kind of categorize this somehow with all
Yes.
this information close to the title.
I would agree, yeah. So at the top, your name, the people that you work with, and your institute, university. And I know sometimes that's difficult because, like we were talking about the Max Planck ones last night, you seem to have a template that you follow where that's at the bottom, isn't it? So if you can't do it, you can't. But yeah, where possible, all that information at the top. Oh, accuracy. Make sure that, A, the content is accurate, and review it for spelling and grammar. Just those simple things, because some people will be completely distracted by the fact that there's a spelling mistake in there. Make sure that you set it aside and get someone else to have a look at it before you send it for printing. Get someone else's view on the content and the structure. Is it easy for someone that's never seen it before to follow the flow? And can they pick up any errors in it? Final impressions. How do you end the conversation with an individual that's come to you? Make sure that you end confidently. Use some language like, it's been a pleasure, or thank you for stopping, or you've given me food for thought. Have you got something that you can give them at the end? A business card, a handout, a freebie? Would it be worth exchanging contact details? So don't just let that conversation disappear or peter out. End the conversation with real purpose and confidence.
Yeah, something that we have, I think it's fairly useful. I have these little postcards. I think you'll have seen them in your packs and at the demos yesterday as well. But at the end of the conversation, you can just hand out a postcard. It's got the project name and a nice picture and the URLs and kind of cool information. And perhaps even if you can't do postcards like that, perhaps they'll have a kind of a one-page handout just with some cool information.
Yes, yeah. Mikhailo, is that the right way to pronounce it? Is he still here? Yeah. I thought what you did was great at the end. When you finished explaining to me, you said, I recommend you go and see my colleagues' posters for some more background. Because there were several posters on a similar issue, weren't there? Isn't that lovely? So you're not just working as an individual, you're actually working as a team and promoting your colleagues' work as well. That sends a really positive message. This season, the summer season, it's the season of muddy music festivals in the UK. And I would say there's quite a similarity between music festivals and poster presentations, in that you've got a lot of acts in one location, all competing for an audience. And it's worth thinking about how you go about attracting an audience. If it's at a music festival, maybe before you even start, it's the set, like the poster, which draws you forwards. After that then, it's the band, the act, that does something a little bit different, that puts 110% energy into their act, that really makes it memorable for you. So think about how you can really stand out as a presenter when you're standing by your poster. What will people remember you for? And if you can manage your mindset and make sure that you're thinking in a positive and enthusiastic way, then it's much more likely that you will have an experience that you'll remember also very positively. Just to end, I've got a couple of recommendations. There's a really good website. Have you come across Vitae? It's an organisation of researchers for researchers. And they've got some good general information on their website about poster presentations. But also, there's a link there to an online tutorial from the University of Leicester, specifically on designing a poster. And I think there's some very good, concrete tips in that tutorial. It's supposed to take you about 20 minutes to work through. But we've obviously gone over the design of the poster very briefly in this session, and that will give you some more definite guidance. And lastly, I have a book which is called How to Make an Impact. It's by John Moon, and I can send you the details of this afterwards. But it's focusing not specifically on poster presentations, but the subtitle is Influence, Inform and Impress with your reports, presentations and business documents. It's very easy to read, and I think it's got some really good ideas that could help you with poster presentations and papers that you write in the future. Any questions? Any comments?
Any more questions?
In the interest of time, would it be nice to have a script laid out before the poster presentation?
To have a script?
To prepare a script.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful to prepare an introduction.
Like a rough script?
Yeah, yes. But I would say, no, don't go for a full script, because then it's likely that you will just deliver a lecture. Yeah, you might have some key ideas you want to get across, but not a full script.
Any more questions?
It's not exactly the topic, but how is giving a demonstration different from presenting a poster?
I'm sorry?
How is giving a demonstration different from presenting a poster? As there was a demo session, and that's quite similar, but then at the same time somewhat different.
Well, I think usually in a demo you would see the real system, either the software system, be able to try something out, either the software or hardware. Look at the things.
But is in a sense of how you interact with the people who come up.
Yeah.
I think it is to some extent quite similar, but perhaps to some extent easier, because rather than just talking about theory, we can actually then really say, look, here's an example of how it works. So it's an opportunity, I think, to really go that bit deeper.
Yeah, and I think what I would say on that one is, don't get so caught up with doing the demonstration that you forget to engage and build rapport with the person that you're demonstrating to, or the group. So there still has to be that element of interaction and feedback and plenty of eye contact.
Okay.
Again, I think I have also more of a listener question. So I'm wondering, how acceptable is it, or how to politely disengage from a presenter that is really not interested in you, heavily distracted, or I don't know, not very enthusiastic about their work? And the other side of the coin, if for some reason you commit this, what I consider error probably, as a presenter, do you follow normal social protocol of, I mean, if you commit it for some particular excusable reason actually, do you follow normal social protocol of trying to find the person and re-engaging the conversation at a later point, or would you only do it while you're in front of the poster?
So if you haven't been particularly enthusiastic or clear when you were presenting, for whatever reason, if that was a person that you felt that mattered, that person actually deserved better than that, and they might actually be a useful contact as well, then yes, I would definitely follow it up. But also just learn from the mistake and don't do it again. But the other side of the coin was if you're on the receiving end of a very monotone and uninterested presentation, how do you get away? Is that right?
Is it acceptable to politely disengage, or
yes, I think that's a very good way to put it. Politely disengage. Yeah, so just wait for an appropriate pause and then say, "Okay, thank you very much."
I would say one way to get rid of people is just start over with the people who are coming next, so the guy will get bored.
Yeah.
And I'd also say there's like every poster session is different. Usually conferences have a certain culture to it. So huge conference or a small conference could be very different to poster sessions. So.
Yes. Okay.
Right. There's one final question if there is. Otherwise, let me say that we have, of course, received we have your posters electronically, and we intend to put them up on the summer school website as well, so that you can look at each other's posters, but that also other people and next year's attendance at the summer school get some examples of the posters of this year. Okay, well, thank you very much, Sue.
You're very welcome.